ACK 90.1 FM. This is News 9:01 to 8 a.m. In the headlines.
Only cargo starts sailing to Tobago. Government to probe UNC link to UK data harvesting firm. Regionally, UK funds CDEMA after action review and response workshop. And internationally, North and South Korea set date for leaders summit. With the news in detail to 8 a.m., I'm Nicholas Ramcharan. Good morning. At the height of one of the busiest holiday periods, the sea transport to Tobago is at its lowest, with none of the passenger ferries in operation and the lone water taxi down after a fire broke out in the engine room on Tuesday night. The Cabo Star, the cargo vessel, can only accommodate 130 passengers, who are usually truckers transporting goods and materials to and from the islands. The situation, which has gotten progressively worse over the past few months, has now put extra responsibility and strain on the national airline, Caribbean Airlines, to fill the void. Passengers who were on board the water taxi Trini Flash on their way to Trinidad on Tuesday, when the vessel stalled in the ocean, are said to be traumatized over the incident, saying that for them to jump onto a big ship could have cost them their lives or major injuries. NIDCO confirmed a fire in the ceiling of the engine room shut down the vessel, which has since been taken out of service. The water taxi only began to service the sea bridge on Tuesday to assist in taking passengers to and from Tobago for the Easter long weekend to assist inter-island travelers. TNT has joined the list of countries probing embattled British political consultants Cambridge Analytica's work, and a local probe is targeting the organization's alleged link with the People's Partnership Administration for the 2015 general election. Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi announced the moves in Parliament yesterday after Christopher Wiley, a former Cambridge Analytica employee, now whistleblower, said the firm worked for TNT government in 2013. During his testimony before the House of Commons in the UK on Tuesday, he referenced a former National Security Minister and Cambridge Analytica's monitoring of internet browsing in TNT, which Wiley admitted was illegal. Attorney General Al-Rawi said his office will audit all government ministries, statutory authorities, state enterprises, and the National Security Council to ascertain whether any contracts were established, whether any payments were made, and whether any services were rendered by CA or any of its affiliates. Opposition leader Kamla Persad-Bissessar in a statement condemned the Attorney General's claims as a malicious, deliberate falsehood and said she intended to file a motion of breach of parliamentary privileges against Al-Rawi. The Water and Sewerage Authority says it is in dire need of a rate increase because it was spending more money to supply the nation water than it receives from customers. According to Chairman Romney Thomas, the public utility company is in a dire financial situation where, despite the monopoly status, WASA's revenues are way below operating costs, resulting in a heavy dependence on subventions from the government. Appearing before the Joint Select Committee on Local Authorities, Service Commissions and Statutory Authorities yesterday, Thomas identified low tariffs as the main reason. The last rate increase, which WASA got, was 25 years ago in 1993, and current rates, he said, were among the lowest in the region. Low rates, he said, not only impacted on the utility's bottom line and dependence on the state, but has resulted in consumers using water inefficiently, which he said led to wastage. Rachel Sukdeo, widow of murdered Central car dealer Sharon Sukdeo, was taken to hospital for emergency treatment early yesterday morning. According to newspaper reports, the mother of two was taken to the Chaguanas Health Facilities Accident and Emergency Department at around 2:30 a.m. Doctors were reportedly told she had taken several painkillers. She was said to be treated for several hours before leaving on her own. According to reports, medical staff decided they needed to contact the police, but Sukdeo left before they arrived. Sharon was gunned down on Monday night while talking on his cell phone outside his in-laws' Charleville home. Funeral arrangements are set for Friday morning at his Chaguanas home. Regionally, the UK continues to provide support for Caribbean islands recovering from Hurricanes Irma and Maria by taking forward reconstruction work and helping to bolster resilience across the region. The latest initiative took the form of an after-action review workshop, which was hosted by the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, CDEMA, and funded by Britain's Department for International Development Caribbean. Held under the theme Comprehensive After-Action Review for the Regional Response Mechanism in the Aftermath of Hurricanes Irma and Maria, the workshop brought together regional stakeholders from several spheres of the disaster management sector to discuss lessons learned, key findings and recommendations preparations ahead of the 2018 transatlantic hurricane season. During the opening ceremony in Barbados, head of the DFID Caribbean, Colleen Wainwright, underscored the role CDEMA played in the 2017 response efforts. Internationally, the leaders of North and South Korea will hold their first summit in more than a decade on April 27th. Talks between the North's Kim Jong-un and South Korean President Moon Jae-in would be held in the border village of Panmunjom, a joint statement said. The date was announced after officials from the two sides met to prepare for the summit. The announcement comes a day after news emerged of discussions between Mr. Kim and Chinese President Xi Jinping. At the meeting in Beijing, the North Korean leader repeated his offer to denuclearize the Korean Peninsula. The North Korean leader said recently that he wants to meet US President Donald Trump. Mr. Trump accepted the offer, and they could meet as soon as May. Now in some sport news. TNT senior men's and women's indoor volleyball teams, the reigning champion of the Caribbean Zonal Volleyball Association, CAZOVA, have been handed favorable groupings for the 23rd Central American and Caribbean Games in Colombia from July 20th to August 3rd. In the women's competition, record 7-time CAZOVA champions TNT will compete at its 4th straight CAC Games tournament and will do battle with host Colombia, Puerto Rico and Costa Rica in Pool B, while champions Dominican Republic, Cuba, Mexico and Venezuela will compete in Group A. This year is expected to be another busy one, as the Crystal Esdell-led Calypso Spikers will compete in the FIVB Women's Nations League in Canada from May 15th to 21st, a replacement for the FIVB Grand Prix competition which they debuted in last year, versus Canada and Costa Rica, while Puerto Rico, Cuba and Colombia are in another group. They will also compete in the Women's Pan American Cup in the Dominican Republic from July 6th to 15th, a qualifier to the Pan American Games to be held in Mexico. And that's a look at News to 8 a.m. Recapping the headlines. Only cargo star sailing to Tobago. Government to probe UNC link to UK data harvesting firm. Regionally, UK funds CDEMA after action review and response workshop. And internationally, North and South Korea set date for Leaders Summit. That's a look at News to 8 a.m. on WACK 90.1 FM. You can get more news online at www.wackradio91fm.com. Join us at 12 noon for another major newscast. I'm Nicholas Ramcharan. Good morning.
Throwback Thursdays. Throwback Thursdays.
We coming out limbo dancing. We go break up tonight. We coming out limbo dancing. Watch you. We love to do the neck dance. We love to do the elbow dance. Love to do the hand dance. We come to show the world how to break to the beat of Kaiso. Join and let us do the limbo. People breaking up, backbone breaking up, headbone breaking up, jawbone breaking up, eyebone breaking up. We come to show the world how to break to the beat of Kaiso. Join and let us do the limbo. Oh yeah. They brought dancers from London. They said they were hard as stone. The dancers they brought to compete against we had to watch we and admire we. We love to do the back dance. We love to do the shoulder dance. We love to do the hand dance. We come to show the world how to break to the beat of Kaiso. Join and let us do the limbo. We both breaking up. breaking up, jawbone breaking up, and bone breaking up. We come to show the world how to break to the beat of guys. So join and let us do the limbo. And Tobago and the rest of the Caribbean, when coming to Calypso, we just break slow, just so. We love to do the back dance, we love to do the shoulder dance, we love to do the neck dance. We come to show the world how to break to the beat of guys. So join and let us do the limbo. Bone breaking up, backbone breaking up, neckbone breaking up, jawbone breaking up, eyebone breaking up. We come to show the world how to break to the beat of guys. So join and let us do the limbo. Oh yeah.
Throwback Thursdays.
La 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 la. La la la. I say, how could you hide behind religion? Just to commit indecent acts against children. The IRO leader come on TV and make the statement in front of the entire country. And with no remorse at all, he said this very bold. How Indian adult males could marry girls from 15 years old. And it's all because of religion. He said this with a big smile. But I want him to know if that's their style, they are really just pedophiles. So leave the children alone until they are fully grown. Just leave the children in peace till they reach adulthood at least. So why all this big hurry? Wait till they reach the age of maturity. So I'm begging you until then, Hindu religious leaders, please leave the people's children. La 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 la. La 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 la. This angered almost the entire nation. also them religious denomination. All the heads of churches here in the country, believe me, none of them didn't take this lightly. Even as Bishop Harris came out plain and denounced this. But Satmaraj telling me fast, stay out Hindu people's business. But Sat didn't hesitate to mention how this is legal within the tradition. But if this is something anyone could sanction, he should be called a legal raper man. So leave the children alone until they are fully grown. Just leave the children in peace till they reach adulthood at least. So why all this big hurry? Wait till they reach the age of maturity. So I'm begging you until then, Mr. Mahasabha, please leave the people's children. Harry Passad, you as the IRO leader, a man of your status supposed to know better. Everybody know that you are religious, and they expect you to say things that's so outrageous. Then tell me, why you doing this to these little girl children? Taking away the childhood, making them women by giving them husbands. I'm telling you straight up, this is my view. It seems like you enjoying what you do, and the way Satmaraj waging war to defend you, I hope he is not a pedophile too. So leave the children alone until they are fully grown. Just leave the children in peace till they reach adulthood at least. So why all this big hurry? I tell you, wait till they reach the age of maturity. So I'm begging you until then, Mr. Matchmaker, please leave the people's children. Love to follow the customs of your motherland. Well, hear this. Go back there if you want to follow tradition. We know child marriage very rampant over there, but that's no good reason for you to want it down here. Because we don't practice things like that here in Trini. Either we don't condone that level of immorality. Our culture is different, and that's a fact. Obeying the law is what these people lack. But if they don't want to stop these children attack, just get a new WASA and send them back. But leave the children alone, until they are fully grown. Just leave the children in peace till they reach adulthood at least. So why all this big hurry? I tell you, wait till they reach the age of maturity. So I'm begging you until then, you wicked child molesters, please leave the people's children.
Throwback Thursday.